morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hola, ¿cómo estás? I think I'm getting a cold. Good morning, Auntie. Good morning, reexamination. We're back in Isaiah. When I started this, I think I was on Isaiah 45, which is just where I happened to be reading when I started doing the stream of this. That's what I was reading at the time was Isaiah, so I just started from where I was already reading, and we finished Isaiah, and then we went back to the beginning. So once I get to somewhere around Isaiah 45, somewhere around there, you could go to the Bible playlist and go back to the first episode, and you'll see where we started. But what was I about to say? Yeah, I just drank some emergency. That emergency stuff's pretty good. Um, Once we get to about Isaiah 45, we're going to be repeating what we did in the first couple streams, but that's fine because Isaiah is a really complex, deep book, and there's a lot of, and I'm going to take my time more on this. We're probably maybe only do 5 chapters a day. That's what I was doing in the beginning was 5 chapters a day, and they're not huge chapters, but I want to look into each chapter a little deeper because there's a lot of some people just study Isaiah like their whole lives. Like there's a lot of depth. Same with Jeremiah. The two of those, that's a big chunk of Bible right there. I think there's 60 something chapters in Isaiah. 50, 57, 66. I thought it was 66, but I didn't want to say 66 and be wrong because, 66 seems like yeah, there's 66. And then Jeremiah is, it's not quite as long as Isaiah, I don't think. 52 chapters. Lamentations is written by Jeremiah. I did not know that. But so yeah, I've read Isaiah. I studied it a good bit last year. But up until then, I had never really dug deep into Isaiah. I need to find something. And we're going to go to it in the Orthodox Bible here. Where does it? Is it in a different order? Yeah, it's in a different order. Oh, wait, there it is. I found it. So So Isaiah, the author, according to both Jewish and Christian traditions, Isaiah, the son of Amos. Amos. How do you say that? Reexamination. How do you pronounce it? Amos is the author of this book, which means the salvation of God. Isaiah, which means the salvation of God, was from the tribe of Judah and was the nephew of King Amaziah of Judah. He is commemorated on May 9th. The time period is mentioned as in the day of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. This places the book about 745 to 680 BC, from approximately 20 years before the Assyrian captivity of the northern kingdom to about 40 years after it. And it's crazy. He talks about Cyrus in here, and Cyrus isn't even born yet, I don't think. And then he says Cyrus is going to save Israel from Babylon, because Hezekiah is one of the last kings before Israel falls to Babylon and Nebuchadnezzar happens and all that stuff. But Isaiah writes that someone named Cyrus is going to free Israel from Babylon. Sure enough, it happens like 100 years later. But the interesting thing is, the story is that Cyrus read Isaiah's writings as a young man. And when he read that, it convinced him to do it. Almost like it's like some Matrix free will stuff. Like, if he hadn't had read that, would he have done it? Or if he hadn't have read it, would he not have done it? Or if he hadn't have read it, would he still have done it? Freed them. It's pointless to think about because that's not the way it happened. The way it happened was the way it was supposed to happen. And that's why Isaiah was able to prophesy about it. The time period, I already read that. The major theme, the Holy One of Israel, who punishes his unrepented people, but later will redeem them. The prophet's vision of the glory of God is one of infinite transcendence. Man's role is one of faith in response to God's holiness and vision for the world. Isaiah revealed the Messiah in amazing detail, crazy detail. He gets very specific in his prophecies of Jesus. He even mentions him getting nailed to a cross. I think he says a tree, but he says he's nailed up on a tree. And then people will say that it's like the New Testament is post hoc justification. They looked at the old scriptures and then they made Jesus to match. They wrote Jesus to match the prophecy, but that's dumb because extra biblical writers like Josephus, Tacitus, and there's a long list of other ones. Those are always the two that everybody mentions, but there's actually a lot more than that. I just forget their names. But we always talk about Josephus and Tacitus, but they talk about Jesus being crucified. Pilate, there's Roman writings about history about Pilate crucifying Jesus. If it's post hoc justification and the disciples are just making stuff up to make Jesus fit the Old Testament prophecies, then why do extra biblical sources say that Isaiah's prophecy about Jesus being crucified comes true? So that's not a good argument from the atheists. Isaiah revealed the Messiah in amazing detail, as if he were telling history instead of the future. He even describes the Theotokos and how she is to conceive and bear God, the Son incarnate, with her virginity intact. Isaiah describes the suffering of Christ together with his resurrection from the dead, proclaiming his kingdom as if it had already happened. Well, it had, and God's God is timeless. He's outside of time. So it had already happened. Everything that happens already happened to God because he's in the future and the past at the same time. Assyria was background. Assyria was growing in power under Tiglath-Pileser, who turned to the west after his conquest to the east. He saw the kingdom of Israel fall to Assyria's might, along with other nations along the Mediterranean coast. Seeing his people taken captive, Isaiah turned to warn the southern kingdom of Judah to trust in God alone. Has a little outline here. Okay. So there's the background and everything on Isaiah. Perhaps there was a different Cyrus. That may be a Rev Russ question. No. But then the prophecy, what do you mean? No, the Cyrus that he prophesies about is the one that comes and frees Israel. He says, are you saying that Isaiah wasn't being prophetic there? I pronounce it as Amos. Yeah, I think it's Amos. I don't know. Because Amos, there is a book of Amos, and it's spelled Amos. Anyway, I don't know. But no, I don't get what you're saying. Perhaps there was a different Cyrus. I don't think so. I think Isaiah was a prophet, and he knew what was going to happen, and it happened. I don't know what the question is, but I don't have any questions. All right. So let's go. Chapter 1. And where's my... Let me put this over here. And put this... Never mind. I'll have to get back to you on that. Oh. Yeah, I'm not... Okay. Isaiah 1, indictment and invitation. Okay. We'll just read chapter 1 and then we'll go through this where they kind of break it down. Isaiah was most definitely a prophet. Yeah, it's called the Book of the Prophet. All right, chapter 1, the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence. And it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. If there wasn't a remnant of Israel left over, a few righteous people left over, they would have been wiped out like Sodom and Gomorrah. And they almost were many times. Hear the word of the Lord, ye rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our God, ye people of Gomorrah. To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me, saith the Lord? I am full of the burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks or of lambs or of he goats. When ye come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand to tread my courts? Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hateth. They are a trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. And when ye spread forth your hands, I will hide mine eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed. Judge the fatherless. Plead for the widow. Come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If ye be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. But if ye refuse and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword. For the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. How is the faithful city become an harlot? It was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. Thy silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water. Thy princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts and followeth after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither doth the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore saith the Lord of the Lord, the Lord of hosts, the mighty one of Israel. Ah, I will ease me of mine adversaries and avenge me of mine enemies. And I will turn my hand upon thee and purely purge away the dross and take away all thy tin. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. And the destruction of transgressors and of the sinners shall be together, and they that forsake the Lord shall be consumed. For they shall be ashamed of the oaks which ye have desired, and ye shall be confounded for the gardens that ye have chosen. For ye shall be as an oak whose leaf fadeth, and as a garden that hath no water. And the strong shall be as tow, and the maker of it as spark, and they shall both burn together, and none shall quench them. Whoo! Condemnation of Israel. Israel ain't acting right. Israel's never acting right. What's going on, Israel? What's up, Mo? My bad. I thought we were talking about the book of Amos. No. Yeah, Amos is pronounced Amos, but I'm talking about Isaiah's dad is Amoz, and I think it's Amos. The vision of Isaiah. This book contains the prophecies of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, who ministered from about 740 to 680. For about 20 years, he spoke to both the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. After Israel's fall to the Assyrians in 722 BC, Isaiah continued to prophesy to Judah. This period of history is told in 2 Kings 15 through 21 and 2 Chronicles 26 through 33. Isaiah was a contemporary of the prophets Hosea and Micah. What does that mean, a contemporary? Meaning like a student? What does that mean? You're a contemporary of someone. What is a contemporary? Something existing, living, or occurring at the same time, or belonging to the present or modern era. So she is studying contemporary. Shakespeare was a contemporary of Christopher Marlowe. Okay, so they exist at the same time. You're too slow. I already got it. Reexamination. Book of Isaiah is filled with many wonderful prophecies of the Messiah, telling us about the person and work of Jesus Christ some 700 years before Jesus was born. For this reason, sometimes Isaiah is called the fifth gospel. I've never heard that. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth. God called heaven and earth as witnesses against Judah. The leaders and people of Judah had resisted his will, and God now stated his case against them. We might think of heaven and earth as a jury that God presented the case before. Romans 8:22 says, "For we know that the whole creation groans and labors with birth pangs together until now. Creation is waiting for the deliverance that will come the by rules." The desperate condition of Judah. Why should we be stricken again? Despite their sin, God did not wish evil upon Judah. Instead, he longed for them to repent and make it easy on themselves. God had chastised Judah, and they did not respond. They would continue to be stricken as long as they rebelled. Sick, the whole heart faints, no soundness, wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. Judah was in a bad place. This is where their disobedience and lack of submission brought them. During the reign of Ahaz, the king of Judah was attacked and pillaged by Israel, Syria, Edom, the Philistines, and Assyria. And that's all in 2 Chronicles. It was written of this period, "For the Lord brought Judah low because of Ahaz, king of Israel, for he had encouraged moral decline in Judah and had been continually unfaithful to the Lord." Rulers of Sodom, you people of Gomorrah. God was obviously trying to get the attention of the leaders and people of Judah. He did this by associating them with two cities synonymous with sin and judgment. To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices to me? Even in the midst of their rebellion, Judah continued its religious ceremony and ritual. They continued the sacrifices. They continued the burnt offerings. They continued offering the fat of fed cattle. They continued burning incense. They continued their assemblies and their sacred meetings. God was sick of them all. So, why were they not supposed to be doing sacrifice? Because they didn't have a temple? But the temple hadn't fallen yet. I'm confused. This is a sobering thought. We can offer God all kinds of religious rituals and ceremonies, all kinds of religious services, and he may hate it and consider it an abomination. Perhaps in the midst of all their calamity, Judah thought the answer was in religious ceremonies, in their ancient version of church attendance, and a few dollars in the offering. But if their heart wasn't changed and humbled and surrendered to the Lord, it made no difference. Without the right heart, God hated their religious ceremonies and service. Oh, so it's not saying that it's bad that they were doing the burnt offerings. They weren't doing it with the right heart, so it was meaningless. Oh, thanks, Mo. Side note for later, when you rebuttal video I put out on racism isn't real. Side note for later, but when you have a moment, check out the rebuttal video I put out on racism isn't real. JS, I would like to know your thoughts. I'll have to check it out. My face is slow? What do you mean? What does that mean? My face is slow? Oh, somebody must have called you slow. What? I don't know what's happening. Okay. This chapter is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to spend too much time. Basically, Israel bad, Judah bad. They're not doing the right stuff. All right. Chapter 2. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. They please themselves in the children of strangers. That means what you think it means. It means they're sleeping with strange women. Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. And the mean man boweth down, and the great man humbleth himself. Therefore forgive them not. Enter into the rock, and hide thee in the dust. For fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon every one that is proud and lofty, and upon every one that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pitchers. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. And the idols shall be utterly abolished, or the idols he shall utterly abolish. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves of the earth, for fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day, they're going to hide in the Agartha. They're going down into the tunnels. Like already happened. It's cyclical. That's what happened the first time. It's going to happen again. In that day, I already read. In that day, a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats. The idols are going to end up going to the moles and the bats. To go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils. Cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? That's talking about the end times. He's going to shake the earth. The earth. They're going to destroy the earth. They're going to destroy the earth. Where's chapter 2? How do I get to chapter 2? Right here. Hope and fear. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw. This was revealed to Isaiah in some kind of vision because this was a word that he saw. Concerning Judah and Jerusalem, this prophecy continuing on through Isaiah 4 is directed towards the southern kingdom Judah and its capital Jerusalem. Isaiah 2, 1 through 3 is repeated in Micah 4, 1 through 3. Since Isaiah and Micah were contemporary prophets, it isn't surprising that the same Spirit of the Lord could give these two prophets the same vision to establish and emphasize his word. That's good to know for later when we get to Micah. In the latter days, the context term latter days refers to the time of the Messiah, when the anointed of the Lord reigns over the earth. Broadly, this speaks of the time many refer to as the millennium, the 1,000-year reign of Jesus on this earth. The mountain of the Lord's house shall be established on the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. During the millennium, Israel will be the superpower of the world. Uh-oh. It will be the leading nation in all the earth, and the center of Israel will be the mountain of the Lord's house, the Temple Mount, which will be the capital of the government of the Messiah. All nations shall flow to the capital of the government of Jesus. So, I wonder. I don't know. Never mind. I don't have any comments on that. I'm just thinking. Like, do we want this to come about faster? Because if we do, what's this? An accelerationist? If we did, then we would encourage. If we wanted this to happen quicker, we should all be Zionists. Right? Or if we want this to be delayed, very Jewy. Well, it's the Old Testament. What do you expect? It's written by Jews. And then this gets into the whole preterism, full preterism or partial preterism, or are we already in the millennium period? Did the millennium period already happen? Or is some of it happened and some of it's gonna happen later? Because Israel is like a world power right now. I don't know. Then we got to go to Matthew 24 and we got to look at like I did a whole thing about the end time stuff, but I don't think it's good for us to dwell on the end times. That's how you get a cult. That's how you get Mormons, Latter-day Saints. That's how you get Seventh-day Adventists. And that's how you get Jim Jones and David Koresh and Waco and Jonestown and all these weird doomsday cults. Common theme among death cults is they're always very concerned with the end times. They're like hyper focused on the end times, and it drives people crazy. So I don't think it's healthy. Take no thought of tomorrow. It's not healthy to really dwell on the end times and think about it a lot, because it can lead you to some dangerous places. I just say, like how from the day you're born, you're dying. The day the earth began, we were in the end times, because it's always progressing towards the end. From the time you start reading a book, you're working on finishing the book. End times cause panic. Panic makes people gullible. Facts. Just living our lives will help keep us sane. Facts. Yeah. Yep. I agree. All right. But there is some apocalyptic writing in Isaiah. Mostly you're going to get that in Revelation, Matthew 24, and then a little bit in some of the prophets talk about it. But don't worry. Stay calm. It's going to be all right. I can't wait for the end times. Chapter 3. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent, and the ancient, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. Eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. Who was that king that became king when he was like 8 years old? I can't remember his name. We read about him somewhere in Kings or Chronicles. We read about one of the kings was like 8 years old when he became king. Because then they thought he was dead, and the mom hid him, which happens a lot in the Bible, by the way. Not just Moses, but Jesus too. Um, they kind of like hide the kids, and then the kid comes back into full power. It's like a hero's journey. What is she talking about? Um, where was I? Anyway, yeah. I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Dang, that's horrible. That sounds like America today. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. The Lord standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof. For ye have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces, and grind the faces of the poor, saith the Lord God of hosts? Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks, like this, noses up in the air, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. They have ankle bracelets on. They tinkle, tinkle. They're walking around. Therefore, the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cauls, and their round tires like a moon. The chains, and the bracelets, and the mufflers. 14. Muffler is a spangled ornament. The bonnets, and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands, and the tablets, and the earrings, the rings, and nose jewels, septum piercings, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles, and the wimples, and the crisping pins, the glasses, and the fine linen, and the hoods, and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. Ooh, fire. And instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of a well, their hair baldness. Instead of a well set, and instead of well set hair, baldness. And instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. What's a stomacher? Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. Pay attention, Marilyn. What is a stomacher? I think it's something that shows off your stomach. They wouldn't be doing that back then, would they? Maybe. What is a stomacher? It's some sort of gown, because instead of a stomacher, they're gonna wear sackcloth. So it's some sort of garment or a jewelry. Oh, it's a. Oh, it's like a girdle. Oh, it mentioned girdles before. It's the it's the thing the ladies wear that sucks in their midsection, and it looks all fancy. Instead of those, they're gonna wear sackcloth. What? I'm right. Just look at me. Look at you. Now look at me. You clearly are not me. See my point? Exactly. Is that a rap? Is that a rap? I don't even know what y'all are arguing about. A stomacher. It's still funny to me that they talk about how women will wear nose rings and they'll look like pigs that get pulled around by their nose rings. That's what the septum piercing, you put that on a pig so you can put a rope on it and you can guide the pig around by his nose. You can do it with cows and bulls too. Bulls, they'll have the ring in their nose. When I was in agriculture class, um, we learned how to raise cattle and stuff like that. We learned how to run them into a squeeze chute. We learned how to castrate them. We learned how to dehorn them. But another thing we learned is a nose. What did we call it? Uh, a nose guide or a nose. Basically, you can grab a cow by its by its septum right here, and you can guide the cow. It will follow you. It'll get pulled by its nose, and that's why women with septum rings, if you ever get a woman with a septum ring, you should, while she's sleeping, you should take some fishing line and tie it to her septum ring and then be like, wake up, honey. Wake wake up. Okay, come on. We're going somewhere. What are you doing? And just drag her around all day with a fishing line on a septum, septum ring. Like, you want to act like a farm animal? I'm going to treat you like a farm animal. I'm going to guide you. It's a nose guide or a. Oh, that's funny. Okay. I don't care who you are. That's funny. That would be so funny to. Oh my God. I wish I had a girlfriend with a septum ring. I would. I don't wish that. That's a joke. I don't wish that at all. But it would be really funny. That would go viral if I made a short or a TikTok. Dude, somebody's got to do that. Does anybody have a girlfriend with. Nobody in here has a girlfriend with a septum ring. Dang. We got to find a guy who. Ooh, Aver said his girl used to have a septum ring, but she took it out. Dude, that would be awesome. Okay, sorry. Let's move on. That was dark. Chapter 4. Oh, I put a star here. Oh, I put, is this a versification problem? Because the way that it continues going, but there's a chapter break there. I don't know why they put a chapter break there. Anyway, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. I highlighted this, I circled this, I underlined it, because this is feminism. This is feminism. The future is feminine. In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. So life's going to be better if you get out of there. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof, by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. Ooh. And the Lord will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For upon all the glory shall be a defense. 4. Or covering. Defense means covering there. And there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for a covert from storm and from rain. What is that? That's a short chapter. Let me look in the Enduring Word commentary here. As a result of judgment of the Lord, the daughters of Zion will have few men to choose from as husbands. Right. They said they're all going to die in war. That's why I wrote, is this a versification problem? Because chapter 4 is very short, and it seems like a direct continuation of chapter 3. Like this should all just be one chapter. If you don't know, I'm not a fan of versification. I don't think there should be verses in the Bible. They didn't add that until like the 1300s. And chapters were, I forget, chapters were in like the 5th or 6th century, I think. Maybe the 3rd. As early as the 3rd. Chapters may be okay. Versification didn't come around till like the 13th century. And I don't like it because it makes it too easy to cherry pick. People don't read the whole chapter. People don't read the whole book. And I don't mean the whole Bible, but like John is not that long. Just read the whole book of John. But instead they'll pick little pieces so that they can drop little bombs on you. Maryland don't know what an axiom is. Okay. Oh, what was I going to look at? 7 women shall take hold of one man. So many men shall fall by the sword, which it says in 325. Another reason why I think 3 and 4 should just be one chapter. That 7 women would chase after one man. They would be so desperate for marriage that would not expect their husbands to provide for them at all. And that's a bad thing. 7 women to 1 man is a bad thing. It's a sign that that you're about to be destroyed. Interesting. Another little commentary there on polygamy. It's talking about 7 women to 1 man is not a good thing. That's a bad thing. Where's my 7 women? I know, I was thinking, dang, this don't seem too bad, you know? You heard it? I'm walking around outside. I got 7 ladies chasing after me. That don't seem that bad. That seem all right. The juicy in me's getting excited. In, in that day, the branch of the Lord shall be beautiful and glorious. This image, the branch of the Lord is a messianic title speaking of Jesus Christ. Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. There shall come forth this image is repeated in Isaiah 11:1. There shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of its roots. Now that's obviously, yeah. It's repeated in Jeremiah 23:5. Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, that I will raise to David a branch of righteousness. A king shall reign and prosper and execute judgment and righteousness in the earth. Repeated in Jeremiah 33:15. In those days and at that time, I will cause to grow up to David a branch of righteousness. He shall execute judgment and righteousness in the earth. It's repeated in Zechariah 3:8. For behold, I am bringing forth my servant, the branch. The branch of the Lord is a reference to Jesus. The ideas behind the title Branch of the Lord are those of fruitfulness and life. Jesus used the same image when he said, "I am the vine, you are the branches." Interesting. Okay. Marilyn's gonna twist that, but yeah, as as he is one with his father, we should be one with Jesus. He's the branch of the Lord, and we're branches of Jesus. Nice. In that day, this does not mean that the Messiah would appear when these judgments were taking place on the daughters of Zion. It means that the promise of the Messiah would be all the more beautiful and glorious to them in the midst of their suffering. Uh, it shall come to pass, he who is left in Zion will be called holy, everyone who is recorded among the living in Jerusalem. In the days of the sinful daughters of Zion, they were called beautiful, they were called delicate, they were called attractive, they were called fashionable, and they were called sexy, but they were not called holy. Well, I don't know if it calls them sexy, but this is commentary, I guess. Christ's holiness shall be both imputed and imparted unto them. He shall be both he shall both expiate their sins and heal their natures, pay their debts, and give them a stock of grace and holiness, so that men shall call them holy people. In the days when the branch of the Lord reigns, the distinguishing mark of all, including the daughters of Zion, will be that they will be called holy. Holy does not mean super spiritual. It does not mean sinless perfection. It does not mean spiritually superior and obnoxious. It means a life, a heart, a mind, and a body that is genuinely separated to the Lord. It is a life apart from the thinking and heart of this world, this flesh, and the devil, and lived apart to the Lord. I don't know why it's not telling me who is writing these commentaries, because usually it's a collection of like, oh, well, that one was from the one I read up here is from Trap. I don't know their first name. We like see here's something from Calvin. This is from Trap. One day we went through all these different contributors and we looked them up on Wikipedia, and so there's this Enduring Word website has commentary from theologians and scholars throughout history. That's what I'm reading. If you're wondering, Enduring Word. They take basically every chapter of the Bible and then it gives you commentary from scholars and theologians. I think most of them are Protestant. Like here's Calvin, but there's I've seen some Catholic stuff in here too. There will be a tabernacle for shade, a place of refuge, and for a shelter from storm and rain. Calvin said, "Nothing is more necessary than that we follow our calling and perform our duty faithfully. It belongs equally to the condition of the good and of the bad that they suffer many inconveniences. But bad men have no refuge, no place of concealment in which they may hide themselves, and they must be utterly overwhelmed. But blessed is the condition of the godly, for although they endure heat and cold, they still have a safe refuge in God." That's based. Okay. Chapter 5. Now will I sing to my well beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it and gathered out of the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. Dude, my freaking tongue. Ah. I I woke up last night. Well, I sleep in the daytime. So yesterday, I woke up because I bit my tongue in my sleep, like hard. I don't know what I was dreaming about, but something I was dreaming about, I like chomped into my tongue hard in my sleep. You ever do that before? You ever wait? I do it. I don't do it super frequently, but I did it. Like I've done it a little bit here and there, but I did a bad one last night. I bit my tongue bad last night. I woke up. I was like, "What was that?" And it took me a second to realize what happened. I was like, "Oh, I bit my tongue. Why? Why did I bite my tongue like that?" Anyway, nope. Nobody's ever done that. Just me. Okay. Well, dang, that sucks. All right. Sorry, it's making it hard to talk. I want to chew on it, but I know if I do that, it won't go away. I woke up from a dream within a dream. Dang, you were Inception. That was Inception. Okay. Uh, and he fenced it and gathered out of the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine and built a tower in the midst of it and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and the vineyard, in my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes? And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression, for righteousness, but behold, a cry. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, that there be no place that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. In mine ears, said the Lord of hosts, of a truth many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair, without inhabitant. Yea, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one. Bath shall yield one bath. What the heck? Shall yield one bath, and the seed of an homer shall yield an ephah. An ephah. That's a weight measurement. A bath, those are just measurements. They're saying measurements of grapes. A bath of grapes is like a barrel. And an ephah, I think, is a small amount. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them. And the harp and the violet and the harp and the viol, the tabret and pipe and wine are in their feasts. But they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hands. There's a little warning against drunkenness there. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore, hell hath enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure. And their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. Hold on. And the mean man shall be brought down, and the mighty man shall be humbled, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humbled. But the Lord of hosts shall be exalted in judgment, and God that is holy shall be sanctified in righteousness. Then shall the lambs feed after their manner, and the waste places of the fat ones shall strangers eat. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin, as it were, with a cart rope, that say, "Let him make speed and hasten his work, that we may see it. And let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh and come, that we may know it. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." I like that one. I think that's repeated a bunch. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine and men of strength to mingle strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward and take away the righteousness of the righteous from him. Therefore, as the fire devoureth the stubble and the flame consumeth the chaff, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossom shall go up as dust, because they have cast away the law of the Lord of hosts and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore is the anger of the Lord kindled against his people, and he hath stretched forth his hand against them, and hath smitten them. And the hills did tremble, and their carcasses were torn in the midst of the streets. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. And he will lift up an ensign to the nations from far, and will hiss unto them from the end of the earth. And behold, they shall come with speed swiftly. None shall be weary, nor stumble among them. None shall slumber nor sleep, neither shall the girdle of their loins be loosed, nor the latchet of their shoes be broken. Whose arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hooves shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring shall be like a lion. They shall roar like young lions. Yea, they shall roar and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry it away safe, and none shall deliver it. And in that day they shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea. And if one look unto the land, behold darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened in the heavens thereof. That was a long chapter. That was deep. Let me see. What was that? 5? The parable of the vineyard. This is from G.W. Grogan. For exquisite beauty of language and consummate skill in effective communication, this parable is virtually peerless. One difficulty of a literary masterpiece is that a would-be translator who is not the literary equal of the author faces an impossible task. It is, in fact, an outstanding example of the way the inspiring spirit employed human language to convey the divine message. The parable of the vineyard. This story is about a vineyard that had many advantages. It belonged to a loving person. It was planted on a fruitful hill. The ground was carefully prepared. It was planted with good stock. It was protected. Provision was made for the fruit to be processed. So they had a wine press. They dug it up. But this is kind of like the parable of the sower. Jesus reads from Isaiah. Well, reads from Isaiah in Luke. Well, it's in all the Gospels, but only Luke says that he read. But when he goes up in the temple and he quotes from Isaiah, but this is kind of like the parable of the sower. You know, you sow the seed in well-tilled, fertile soil in a good location with the right amount of light, and you take care of it, and you love it. It grows and it's fruitful. But as soon as you start to ignore it, as soon as you turn your back on it and you leave, you go on vacation, you start getting drunk, you start hanging out with strange women, the thorns grow up, and the briars take over, and the weeds, and the creatures and animals and deer come along and eat it, and the birds poop on it, and it gets destroyed. Hey, thank you for the membership. Long live liberty. I gotta do my new membership badges. Um, He expected to bring forth good grapes, but instead it brought forth wild grapes. Wild grapes, we're dealing here with something worse than unfruitfulness. The New Testament also, so this is kind of like hold on, before I say that, let me read this. We are dealing something worse than unfruitfulness. The New Testament also speaks of a faith that brings forth fruit, but the fruit is dead works, which pollute the air like a cadaver. The wolf's bane or wild vine does bear beautiful berries, but they are bitter, foul smelling, and poisonous in nature. This is a precise description of the self willed and false religion of the unfaithful covenant people. Yeah, would be like a cult. Like they hear about God and they have the right, everything seems perfect. Like they're going to be some great Christian. They hear about God, and they're like, "Oh, I'm into this." And they study and they research and or not research. They study and they do they go to church, they do all the things. But then what ends up happening is even worse than just ignoring it and letting it slowly fade away, unfruitfulness. They bear a false fruit. They bear a poison berry. Clark on wild grapes. Poisonous berries, not merely useless, unprofitable grapes, such as wild grapes, but grapes offensive to the smell, noxious, poisonous. Wild grapes means that the vineyard produced just what you would expect it to produce if nothing had been done to it. All the love, care, time, and work and investment had no result. Judge, please, between me and my vineyard. The question is simple. Who is to blame for the harvest of only wild grapes? Is it the fault of the owner of the vineyard, or is it the fault of the vineyard itself? We know, and they knew, that farming is a matter of cause and effect. Literally, one could never blame a vineyard for lack of production. But in the Lord's vineyard, the will of man is a factor. What more could have been done to my vineyard? In the story, there was nothing left undone by the owner of the vineyard. He did all he could. In the same way, God cannot be blamed for all the wild grapes Israel brought forth. God did all he could apart from making men robots, acting apart from or against their wills. Nah. The fault lies with man, not God. It will be seen then that every soul of man had the chance of becoming a fruitful vineyard. And if it became the reverse, it was due to no failure in either the wisdom or grace of God. And that's from Meyer. O you that profess to be his people, what more could Christ have done for you? What more could the Holy Spirit have done? What richer promises? What wiser precepts? What kinder providences? What more gracious patience? That's a quote from Spurgeon. Why then, when I expected to bring forth good grapes, did it bring forth wild grapes? It is possible for God to do work in his people, but his people to receive that work in vain. Paul warned, we then, as workers together with him, also plead with you not to receive the grace of God in vain. I will take away its hedge. All the owner of the vineyard must do is stop providing special protection to the vineyard. And it shall be burned, it shall be trampled down. I will lay it waste, it shall not be pruned or dug. The vineyard will receive nothing from the Lord. The vineyard resisted and protested the pruning and digging and watering the owner did. So now the owner says, fine, no more pruning or digging or watering. You will see for yourself if that is better. Many discouraged children of God wish the Lord would stop pruning, stop digging, stop watering. Those things may be hard, but it is even worse when the Lord stops doing them. So that's the parable of the vineyard. I'm not going to read through all of this. Amen to Meyer. Amen to Spurgeon. You know who Meyer and Spurgeon are? We looked them up. I don't remember. They're where are we at? I could mail them a box with a note. Do not open until 20 minutes into debate. And it's just a fake fist on a spring that punches them when it's opened. I know Spurgeon big time. I just like Meyer's quote. Yeah, I've looked into him a little bit. Okay, chapter 6. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. This is one of our physical descriptions of angels. This is where we get like some of the ideas of the crazy realistic angel drawings and stuff. And a bunch of people have done this video. I did it years ago. The nine biblical angels, or the hierarchy of angels, I forget what I called it, but we kind of get a description here. Crazy description. If you draw it out, you can Google uh, literal interpretations of the angels. So above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face. With 2 of the wings cover his face, and with twain he covered his feet. And with twain he did fly. So 2 of the wings he's flying. 2 of the wings are covering his feet. 2 of the wings are covering his face. And the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of people of unclean lips. For mine eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. And he laid it upon my mouth and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, Here I am, here am I, send me. Here am I, send me. That's isn't that somewhere else? That's that was somebody I knew, that was their favorite verse. Martin Luther said, Here I stand, I can do no other. Isaiah said, Here am I, send me. Or here am I, instead of here I am, send me. I wonder if it's different in other versions. I don't have my ESV next to me. That's in my room. I have this one. This is going to take me forever to find, though. Maybe not. What is this? Isaiah 6:8. Is it always here am I? Six eight. Well, that's odd. They print Isaiah differently than they printed Song of Solomon and Proverbs and all that. I also heard the voice of the saying, Who shall I send, and who will go to this people? Then said, Behold, here am I, send me. Is it always here am I? Seems like that's intentional, not to, so it's not the ego I me. It's here am I instead of here I am. And he said, "Go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed." Uh. Then said I, Lord, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate. And the Lord have removed men far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. But yet in it shall be a tenth, and it shall return and shall be eaten as a teil tree, and as an oak whose substance is in them, when they cast their leaves, so the holy seed shall be the substance thereof. And I put a question mark here because I didn't understand that when I first read it. I still don't, but we're going to look it up real quick. This is chapter 6. It's towards the end. Oh, it talks about all the people who saw God's throne. Micaiah? That's not Micah. Micaiah saw God's throne in First Kings. Job saw God's throne. David saw God's throne. The sons of Korah saw God's throne. Ethan the Ezrahite saw God's throne in Psalm 89. Jeremiah saw God's throne. Ezekiel saw God's throne. Daniel saw God's throne. The Apostle John saw God's throne in Revelation 4, 1 through 11. In fact, the book of Revelation may as well be called the book of God's throne, because God's throne is specifically mentioned more than 35 times in that book. The core belief of atheism or materialism is that there is no throne. There is no seat of authority or power all the universe must answer to. The core belief of humanism is that there is a throne, but man sits upon it. Hey, that's what Marilyn is. Marilyn's a humanist. But the Bible makes it clear that there is a throne in heaven, and no fallen man sits on the throne, but the Lord God is enthroned in heaven. Some deny that cherubim and seraphim refer to the same beings, but the name seraphim means burning ones, describes cherubim. This way, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches going back and forth among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and out of fire went lightning. That certainly seems to describe burning ones. Yeah, but the cherubims are on the ark, and it describes the cherubims on the ark of the covenant, and they are not. Uh, it it in Leviticus it explains explicitly how to craft the gold cherubims that are on the ark of the covenant, and they don't have 6 wings. So I don't know if I agree with this take here. They're saying that seraphim and cherubims are the same thing, and I've never heard that. They point to Ezekiel, but I would point to Leviticus, and it describes cherubims, and they're not. They aren't described the same way as seraphims. So I don't know, but each one had 6 wings. In Revelation 4:8, the Apostle John also mentions there's 6 wings. They need the 6 wings so each can cover his face to show they're too lowly to look upon the Lord, so each can cover his feet to hide his humble area of his body, so nothing even possibly deficient is seen in the Lord's presence, and so they can fly. The Lord said to Moses, "You cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live." Apparently, this is even true for the angels, so seraphim cover their faces. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this last part here. Is it this part? Then said the Lord, 11 through 30. Yeah, this is it. Then I said, Lord, how long? He answered, until the cities are laid waste and without inhabitant. The houses are without a man. The land is utterly desolate. The Lord has removed men far away, and the forsaken places are many in the midst of the land. But yet a tenth will be in it, and will return and be for consuming, as a terebinth tree or as an oak, whose stump remains when it is cut down. So the holy seed shall be its stump. Lord, how long? This is a logical question from anyone who is given such a difficult commission. Do I have to preach to those who won't hear, and their rejection of my message will ultimately seal their doom? How long will I have to serve in that kind of ministry? Until the cities are laid waste and without an inhabitant. This answers the question of how long Isaiah was to preach. He should preach until destruction comes. He should preach in hope of the restoration of a remnant, and that's the tenth that will return. Even though Isaiah's ministry was difficult, it was not without hope. And be for consuming. The remnant will indeed return, but even the remnant will eventually be judged. Israel was not done being disobedient when they returned from the Babylonian captivity, and God was not done bringing his judgment on a disobedient Israel. See, he's foretelling the Babylonian capture of Israel, enslavement of Israel before it happens. And then he's also foretelling that they're going to come out of that one day. They're not all going to die there. A tenth will make it. That's the remnant. Forgive or God won't forgive you, which means everyone has to be forgiven. Very true. Facts, Marilyn. Even though that contradicts your whole entire worldview. If you're God, then you don't have to be forgiven because you would be perfect. Or you could just forgive yourself. So you said something based, but it contradicts everything you've ever said in your life. Awesome. Chapter 7. What did I write here? Oh, it's on the next. Oh, it's on the next page. We'll probably go to we'll get through chapter 10. Chapter 7. And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, the king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up toward Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it. And it was told the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim, and his heart was moved, and the heart of his people as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind. Then said the Lord unto Isaiah, Go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou, and Shear Jashub, thy son, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field, and say unto him, Take heed and be quiet. Fear not, neither be faint-hearted. For the two tails of these smoky firebrands, for the fierce anger of Rezin with Syria, and of the sons of Remaliah. Because Syria, Ephraim, the son of Remaliah, have taken evil counsel against thee, saying, Let us go up against Judah and vex it, and let us make a breach therein for us, and set a king in the midst of it, even the son of Tabial. Thus saith the Lord God, It shall not stand, neither shall it come to pass. For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. And within 65 years shall Ephraim be broken, and it shall broken that it be not a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. If you will not believe, surely ye shall not be established. Moreover, the Lord spake again unto Ahaz, saying, Ask thee a sign of the Lord thy God. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. And he said, Hear ye now, O house of David. Is it a small thing for you to weary men? But will ye weary my God also? Sorry. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. um, Call his name Emmanuel. There's a nice prophecy for you. Very prophetic. Very prophetic verse there. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings. The Lord shall bring upon thee and upon thy people and upon thy father's house days that have not come from the day of Ephraim. Depart from Judah, even the king of Assyria. Dang it. I have something in my. I have like a scratch in my throat that won't go away. Okay. Where was I? And it shall come to pass uh, in that day that the Lord shall hiss for the fly that is in the uttermost part of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. I think I'm going to stop after this chapter because I can't. I'm talking too much, and my throat is starting to get sore. I'm starting to get sick, and I need to let my my voice rest because it's getting worse the more I read, the more I talk. And they shall come and shall rest, all of them in the desolate valleys and in the holes of the rocks, and upon all thorns and upon all bushes. In the same day shall the Lord shave with a razor that is high, shall shave with a razor that is hired, namely by them beyond the river, by the king of Assyria, the head and the hair of his feet, and it shall also consume the beard. And it shall come to pass in that day that a man shall nourish a young cow and 2 sheep. And it shall come to pass, for the abundance of milk that they shall give, he shall eat butter. For butter and honey shall everyone eat that is left in the land. And it shall come to pass in that day that every place shall be where there were 1,000 vines at 1,000 silverlings. It shall even be for briars and thorns. With arrows and with bows shall men come thither, because all the land shall become briars and thorns. And on all hills that shall be digged with the mattock, there shall not come thither the fear of briars and thorns, but it shall be for the sending forth of oxen and for the treading of lesser cattle. Okay. So a lot of prophecy in there and a lot of kind of parables there at the end. Some of it's obviously talking about Jesus when it talks about he's going to choose even as a little child, he's going to know to choose the good, not the evil. Um and also a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and his name shall be Emmanuel. That's obviously a prophecy. But this last little chunk here, once it starts talking about the haircut, which I think that has something to do with the Nazarene vow of not cutting your hair until you find perfection. They would just let their hair grow. Uh, they couldn't let a razor touch their head until they were perfect. And Jesus, and this is maybe a reference to Jesus saying that the razor will come and shave his head, shave his beard, shave his feet. Now, I could be wrong about this. I'm about to look into it. I like to give my guess or my thoughts first, and then read this stuff. Um, and see if I was close. What was that? 7 or 8? That was 7? Yeah, that was 7. Guys, like the back of my throat is just like dry. It's itchy. Stole? Still. The devil's trying to take your voice? Nah. Um, what am I looking for? 7. Okay, I want to go. Through the prophet Isaiah, God invites Ahaz to ask for a sign. God has just challenged Ahaz to believe and be blessed, and now God offers to give Ahaz a basis for belief, a sign for yourself. But Ahaz says, "I will not ask, nor will I test the Lord." This sounds very spiritual from Ahaz. He almost seems to say what Jesus said in Matthew 4:7: "You shall not tempt the Lord your God." That's also like we learned that about the guy who Japheth, Japheth, whatever his name is. Though the words are similar, the hearts are far apart. Ahaz refused to ask for a sign because when God fulfilled the sign, he would be obligated to believe. Spurgeon spoke well to this point. It is a small thing for you to weary men, but will you weary my God also? Spurgeon says, "Did I not hear someone say, 'Ah, sir, I have been trying to believe for years'?" Terrible words. They make the case still worse. Imagine that after I had made a statement, a man should declare that he did not believe me. In fact, he could not believe me, though he would like to do so. I should feel aggrieved, certainly. But it would make matters worse if he added, "In fact, I have been for years trying to believe you, and I cannot do it." What does he mean by that? What can he mean but that I am so incorrigibly false and such a confirmed liar that though he would like to give me some credit, he really cannot do it. With all the effort he can make in my favor, he finds it quite beyond his power to believe me. Now, a man who says, "I have been trying to believe in God," in reality says just that with regard to the Most High. Facts. Facts. I've had that conversation with, that's like, that reminds me of, well, I don't want, well, maybe if he listens to this or something, but Indian Jesus was saying something very similar one night. He's like, I want to believe in God, and I've been seeking God, and I've been trying to believe in him. I just can't believe in him. So basically you're basically calling God such a bad liar that you can't believe anything he says. But you know something's there because you're looking for it, but you're basically calling God, you're just saying that God's a liar and that all the Christians are liars because you want to believe it, you're trying to, but you can't. The rulers of Judah treated other people poorly, but they treated the Lord even more poorly. If many of us express the same distrust we have towards the Lord towards other people, we might get a punch in the nose. How heartily angry is the prophet? How blessedly blown up in this case to do so great dishonor done to God. In this case, to so great dishonor done to God. What? We should be. I don't get that. Um, Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. This is one of the most famous prophecies regarding the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, in the Bible. It also illustrates the principle of prophecy, that prophecy may have both a near fulfillment and a far fulfillment. Spurgeon said of this passage that it is said to be one of the most difficult in all the Word of God. One of the most difficult in all the Word of God. It may be so. I certainly did not think it was until I saw what the commentators had to say about it, and I rose up from reading them perfectly confused. It is a characteristic of predictive property that it often mingles different times together in one composite picture, and that's from Martin. Shortly married. Many commentators think this was immediately fulfilled when a young woman in the royal household, shortly married, conceived a son and unknowingly named him Emmanuel. Before this boy came to eat solid food, Israel and Syria would be defeated. It is also possible that God is just referring in a figurative way to a year or two period of time. For before the child shall know to refuse evil and choose the good, the land that you dread will be forsaken by both her kings. The near fulfillment of this prophecy centered around Ahaz, Jerusalem, and the attack from Israel and Syria. For Ahaz, the sign centered on this time span. Simply put, God would give Ahaz a sign that within a few years both Israel and Syria would be crushed. This was a sign of deliverance to Ahaz. So there's a near fulfillment, and then there's the far fulfillment, which is Jesus. The name Emmanuel was a rebuke to Ahaz. If God is with us, then why should he have feared the enemy? And that's from Wolf. The sign of the child, therefore, constitutes an indication that the all sovereign and all knowing God has the situation completely in hand, and it rebukes the king's lack of faith in him. And that's from Grogan. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son. We know this passage speaks of Jesus because the Holy Spirit says so through Matthew. Behold, the virgin shall be with child and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which is translated God with us. God with us. We know this passage speaks of Jesus because the prophecy is addressed not only to Ahaz, but also to David's entire house, O house of David. Christ, indeed, was not called by this name Emmanuel that we anywhere read of, but the import of this name is mostly truly affirmed and acknowledged to be fully made good in him. He is therefore called God with us or united to us, which cannot apply to a man who is not God. It denotes not only the power of God, such as he usually displays by his servant, but a union of person by which Christ became God man. And that's from Calvin. um, let's see this last part. The Lord will bring the king of Assyria upon you. This was bad news to Ahaz, who had been foolishly trusting in Assyria instead of the Lord. It is as if the Lord is saying, it will seem to you like trusting in Assyria is a clever move because the armies of Syria and Israel will be defeated, but the Assyrians will end up defeating you also. Yeah, that's when they were going outside and they were making deals with other countries to that they would hope would defend them and help make them stronger, but it ended up leading to their downfall. What's up, Rev? What's he saying? Spurgeon was the primary source we studied for sermon craft. He's the OG Prince of Preachers. He his exegetical approach is bar none for sure. I only hope that I can be as good as him one day. Well, I mean, you don't have to now because you can just read what he says. Okay, guys. My my voice is going out. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. I drank some vitamin C. I took some gummy vitamins, some multivitamins. They've been in my cabinet forever. I don't like them. Was trying to start taking vitamins, so I got a bunch of gummy vitamins, and I took them for like a week, and then I didn't take them for like 2 days, and I got sick. And I was like, "What the heck? I don't hardly ever get sick." So I was like, "I'm not taking these vitamins anymore. They give me like a fake immune boost, and then when you stop taking them, you get weak." But I took some today because I'm starting to get sick. Do I have any Powerade? No. I have emergency. Vitamin C emergency. But I already drank it. Anyway. Oh man, I'm so happy. One night left of work. One night left of work, and then it's the weekend. It's the weekend, baby. Tomorrow's Friday. Let's go. All right. Um Thank you guys for hanging out. Well, it's fine. We could have done 10 chapters easy, but I'm trying to really like go through these chapters cuz Isaiah is deep. ACF is the king of medicine. ACF. I don't know what that is. ACF. I don't know what that means. Okay. I started watching Fallout, the second season, and it's already pretty good. I think that's the best I think that's the best video game to live action adaptation that I've ever seen. Nothing else comes close. It's like you're watching the video game. It's so accurate to the game. Hello, sir. I'm from Mizoram. Did you ever hear of? I feel like this is gonna be a setup, like a D's setup. Did you ever hear of Mizoram before? No. What's Mizoram? Mizoram. Mizoram. This is gonna be like Mizoram. These Final Fantasy Kingsglaive is an amazing movie. Kingsglaive. I've seen Advent Children. And then there was another Final Fantasy movie that I saw. I think maybe it's that one. Final Fantasy Kingsglaive. Maybe I have seen that. Is there 3 Final Fantasy movies? I know there's Advent Children, which I did not like. Is that what it's called, or is that a game? There's one, or no, Spirit Within. Final Fantasy Spirit Within. What is Advent Children? Is that a game or is that a movie? Emmett's still going? Is he even like there? Uh, I'll send you to Zeb. He's doing drama stuff. I don't care about that. Spirits Within sucks. Advent Children is cool. Kingsglaive is the best. Okay. So I've seen Spirits Within and Advent Children. I liked Advent Children. Spirits Within sucks. I agree. Have not even heard of Kingsglaive. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that one out. I've seen the other two, and you're right. So if I agree with you on the other two, then I'll probably agree with you on that. We'll miss you while you're offline. I know. It'll be okay. I'll be back. We're going over to Zeb Boykin. God bless everybody. Dude, this guy had less he had less subs and less views than me like 6 months ago. And now he's killing it. I don't know what he did. I think he's got connections. I think he's friends with I think he's friends with some respected people in the conservo sphere. But he's killing it now. He's got like 400. I think he's got like 400 viewers usually. But anyway, send you over there. Yes, hydration's good. God bless everybody. Have a good day. I will be back tomorrow morning. I'm out. Peace. Wish me well with this sickness.